Hey, Bestie Brains, Kirby here, aka Darkwing Disc, and I was afraid of balloons until I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I still don't fully trust them. Alongside me today is Ollie DePina. You can find him under the name String Bean Flicker at twowaystoUseProduce.com. And alongside us this week as a very special guest is Justin Banks from Fairway Media. You can find him under There's No Grass in This Fairway at gardenersliketodateeachother.com. Welcome to episode 29 of the K.O Disc Golf Show. This is episode 29, the Nitteran female episode. Famous players to wear the number 29, Rod Carew, Adrian Beltre, John Smoltz, and Eric Dickerson. Famous Red Sox players or Red Sox players that I like that wore that number, Bobby Dahlbeck, Keith Folk, John Smoltz, Adrian Beltre, although we had John Smoltz for like 8 games and he pitched absolutely terrible and we shipped him out like right away. So that's kind of like an honorable mention. We had Adrian Beltre for 1 season and he took out our center fielder. So that's also kind of like an honorable mention. Gabe Kapler, Shea Hillenbrand, and Daniel Nava. And Daniel Nava has a very, very interesting story. He is the 4th player in the history of baseball to hit a grand slam on his very first pitch. On his very first at bat, and he's the 2nd player ever in history to hit a grand slam on the very first pitch he ever saw. This guy was an equipment manager for Santa Clara University because he failed to make the team. He eventually worked his way up to making the team and getting a full scholarship. He then went on to play indie ball. The Red Sox heard about him. They bought the rights to him as a player for $1 from the indie team. And he came up and, hit a grand slam in his first pitch he ever saw. He talked to Joe Castiglione, the Red Sox radio announcer, and he said, he told him, he's like, you should just swing as hard as you can on the first pitch. It's the only first pitch in the majors you'll ever see. So I always kind of like that story. It's kind of one of those like inspirational tales. It's always been kind of great to hear. Banks, you want to tell us about the Mariners players and some Seahawks players that wore 29?
Yeah. Famous 29ers, Cal Raleigh. We had Adrian Beltre for a little bit, and Brett Boone. And the best safety Seahawks have ever had, which is big to say, Earl Thomas.
Oh, easily. He's the leader of the LB. My favorite Seahawk, Earl Thomas. And some Giants. We had Tito Wooden in the 90s, Myron Gooden in the 80s, and then recently Xavier McKinney for the last 3 years, and he actually left, so wish him the best and everything. And then our current number 29, my guy Tyrone Tracy, out of Purdue, was a wide receiver, transitioned into running back. Is my guy. I'm really excited about this guy. Got to see him play, and yeah, I'm really excited. So those are my Giants.
Nice. Cool. Well, yeah, again, welcome, Justin Banks, to the KO Disc Golf Show. Appreciate you coming on and joining us. So I got a couple of quick questions for you, some hard-hitting stuff. First,
cool.
Why are you like this? Second, is what gives you the right? And my third question is, who do you think you are?
I am. Absolutely.
All right, solid. Yeah. Why don't you tell us all about yourself, bud?
I am Justin Banks. I run fairwaymedia.golf, which has been covering Washington and Pacific Northwest tournament coverage. Some of them have been commissioned. Some of them have been just I wake up and go film disc golf. So yeah, that's kind of who I am right now. Thanks for having me, guys. Yep. I've been watching every episode.
Awesome. Yeah, we always appreciate you in the comment section in that, and I love having you on the card. You and I have spent a lot of time together this season. I feel like I've been on a ton of rounds. It's you and I have joked, I kind of have a little like Fairway Media curse, because there's definitely for like until the Tehran Open, which I feel like I kind of broke it. Like I didn't feel like I had a good round like on camera with you, and every time you came around, I was like, shit, here we go. It wasn't you. It was like me not playing well on camera, kind of thing. And then I would have like a good second round. And I'm like, you couldn't do this on camera, So
I definitely understand. I don't think I'll ever be able to relate because I've had too much time behind a camera to have camera jitters. But we'll see. Yeah. Maybe in the future I'll be in front. We'll see.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah, we'll see. Ollie, how's it going, man? How you doing, bud?
It's good. It's nice to have Justin on the show. Before Justin knew me, it's kind of like a similar story. I feel like Kirby. Like I watched a bunch of Fairway Media videos when I was like learning disc golf, and so I learned who all these pros were because of Fairway Media. And so really awesome. And if you want to like learn more about the Washington State scene, go check out his channel and everything. But it's super cool. I remember the first time I met Justin too, and he just came up, gave me a big fist bump, and I was like, that's Fairway Media. And
Let's
like I was
go.
like I can't believe that. Like it was really cool moment for me. So it's awesome having you on the show. It was awesome when I got to commentate and looking forward to my first time being on a card being filmed. So that's something I'm excited for. But I'm doing well. I had a good week at Costco. A lot of hard work. A lot like it's a lot of movement, like a lot of steps, a lot of pushing carts. Got to play a couple of rounds. Got the 4 tag back from my I went from the 2 to the 3 to the 69 to the 4. So we're getting back down there. A good
Yeah.
little season so far of tags.
Nice.
But haven't got to play too much besides that. But really taking this off season to feel like I'm getting stronger, getting working on those things where when I come back and have more time to play, it's gonna be easy.
Nice. Yeah, you said you were showing us before the show. You want to show everybody that disc that your homie got you? Because I think it was pretty sweet.
Oh yeah.
Kind of tell everybody about
So if you know me, I think there's like a very like there's very specific gifts I really like, and so my friend that I've taken a handful of times disc golfing got me a disc that has a SION in the lumberjack skin with my favorite emote on it. So if you've ever played League of Legends with me, I only really play with this guy. I have all of his skins, so I might play with a different one, but this is my favorite. And then the take notes was like a rare emote, really like kind of a BM, like bad manners kind of play. But I set the take notes instead of you have like a wheel of emotes, and the middle one is always thumbs up, and they make it for everyone. And I set take notes to be my thumbs up. So
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, very very sweet, man. Yeah, honestly, I'm happy Washington State's was this past weekend, which means my season's like basically done, almost. We're doing par for the corpse, not this weekend, but next weekend, and then we have one more CTAC tournament that we're running that I'm probably gonna jump into and play. But besides that, I mean, it's nice kind of getting into the off season. Like last night, I got home and my wife was like, "Are you gonna go outside and do some putting?" And I was like, "Actually, no, I'm kind of just like hanging out." And she's like, "Oh, okay. Do you want to watch something?" I was like, "Yeah, like let's find something," kind of deal. So, yeah, it's kind of nice. My usual routine is like get home and immediately kind of be like, "Hey, honey, how's it going?" I'm gonna go outside and do some putting, and I'll go outside and putt for like an hour, 100, 200 putts, whatever, and then kind of head back in, kind of deal. So, but yeah, speaking of this off season. I'm interested to kind of hear you guys' thoughts on this. I think this off season in disc golf is going to get pretty weird. I think it's going to get strange. There's going to be a lot of players that don't have contracts going into next year, or contracts that are ending, I should say. And excuse me.
bless you.
Yeah, a lot of contracts that are ending. And I don't think that there's as much money in disc golf as there was a couple years ago when you were seeing a lot of these players signing, for kind of like big deals and that kind of thing. I think we're going to end up having more players looking to be paid that are going to, and I don't think the money's going to be there. The top guys like Ricky, Simon, Gannon Burr, Paul, like those guys are all like going to get paid and they're fine and they're all still in contracts. But there's rumors like you've heard like maybe like Matty O, I'm sure you guys have heard that rumor that Matty O probably or won't be going back. I've heard
I
a
did
rumor.
not know.
You
No.
haven't heard that? Yeah, apparently he
No.
was like walking down the fairway and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like I might not be back with Westside next year. Like I'm not sure what's happening." I heard a
Mm.
rumor that Dynamic Discs might drop Ricky. So, there's like rumors like that are like swirling around because like this disc golf is like struggling to pay some of these guys like that top dollar. So what do you
The
guys think of
biggest
that?
one.
What do you guys think like, that's kind of looking like?
Yeah, I pulled up the contracts and just looking at some of the people that will be that all their like there's so like basically majority of the people with contracts are out if you're not Calvin Heimberg or Simon Lazard or Eagle McMahon basically. But the big name that I feel like that hasn't gotten paid that is looking for a paycheck is Isaac Robinson, 2-time world champ.
Agreed.
Because I think he'll be leaving Prodigy, and I think that's been the most hinted thing. So Now it's about finding a company that I think he's gonna maybe like one of the only players that's gonna really get
Like
those
paid.
that kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna get paid.
Yeah. I think it's I don't think it's going to be public what he's getting paid, because I think it's going to be so like significantly less than like a Paul or a Simon or a Ricky, even though like, he definitely deserves like his payday kind of thing for doing everything that he's doing. But I think it's one of those things where it's going to be like, hey, like, X company signs him for 4 years, and then it's just never announced like what the payout is, or like how much he's getting paid, because it's not, that Ricky level or anything. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, it's almost like, unless we're paying people that much, it's almost like not going to be public anymore kind of thing. Is Kristen's contract up? Did you see that? I think her contract's up pretty soon.
She makes buco bucks from this.
I mean, she does pretty well. Yeah. Like,
she has the Porsche sponsorship. She got the other sponsorships with that.
That's interesting.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst at predicting who's going where.
Mhm.
I stopped predicting. I just listened to the news for this part.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if like if you're like a Kristen Tatar, and you're making enough money with like Porsche and with all these other companies, do you just kind of say like, screw it, like I'll just do my own, like I don't.
Oh, she's through 25.
She's through 25, so she.
Yeah, this whole next year is gonna be all.
That'd be a crazy thing though. Like, if she's like, hey, I make enough money with my other sponsorships, like I actually don't want a disc manufacturer, and she's out there like winning all that she is without like a major like disc company behind her, like that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see, but I think they know what. Yeah, I don't think that's that's not too in the card. I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't think it's too much gonna happen.
Yeah, I think she's in that echelon who should be paid and will be paid, what she's worth.
I think Owen Scoggins' contract's under, but I think Innova pays her. They know what she Owen's worth and what Owen brings in as a fan base. Like she has probably her own cult following. Where I'm a big Owen fan. I'm a diehard Owen fan.
Yeah. She's got a really good brand, and those are the people that you're going to see going forward who are going to get signed and who are going to get those like contracts, right? Like people who are just like good players, like like I think that's the thing that will hold Isaac Robinson back from making even more money, is the fact that like his brand isn't super strong. Like him as a player is very strong, but him as a brand like doesn't have, I don't think has as much value.
I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the older players, quote unquote, the Jeremy Colings and whatnot, who have been getting, and Nate Sexton, who have been doing more commentary jobs. So
yeah,
I'm wondering who else is going to join them.
Yeah, Sexton's through 25, and then Coling is up this year, but I think both come back with Innova.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
I wonder if Coling comes back at like a lower level though, and is almost kind of like starting to take that step back, from touring. Like we don't see Philo around too much anymore, but like I'm sure Philo would want to try to stay with Innova as long as possible. But like you see him take a step back. Like you don't see Nate as much on the pro tour. Like at what point does he just talk to Innova and he says, hey, like let's just sign like a long-term like legacy contract, and I'm just going to be more of like a disc golf personality rather than like the professional player. You know what I mean? Where he can do that.
But if you're any type of a competitor, I don't feel like you do that.
Yeah.
I feel like that you're just not betting on your like, because then you're, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I feel it, and I think it's a smart move, but I think with like, I don't know. That's hard to get in the mind of how these people think and what do they value,
Mm-hmm.
Where I feel like, yeah, it's this is an interesting. It opened my eyes looking at this list a little more than what I realized how many people are going to be up. And then you have like the young guys like what's Ryan Mon, Jake Mon's brother.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you watch these guys and they're kind of
Didn't he just sign with Discraft?
Maybe he did. Well, he was on the underground team. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then maybe he's going up. Yeah, and then his brother's with DGA, but his brother's contract's up. So I mean, you just got to think about those kind of players as well. Like what's going to be going on with that kind of thing.
Yeah, I wonder if there'll be a lot more guys that you would be like kind of surprised at, that would take like more like the underground team, or like I don't know, whatever Innova's like base level team is. You know what I mean? You hear about a guy, you're like, dude, that guy's like 10-20 rated. you know, but like his brand isn't strong enough and he's on the underground team now. Like that's kind of I mean, I think that's where we're going. And that's crazy because if you look at 4 or 5 years ago, a 10, 20 rated player was getting like paid, you know, like getting bucks for sure. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I still think a company will pay. Whether I think it'd be a shorter contract, like not gonna be a 5 to 10 year deal with Isaac, but I think Isaac still gets paid in like a higher echelon than any of these players that will be getting
I agree.
contracts.
He deserves it, honestly. Like he should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to see whatever brand honestly and I honestly I Discmania is my number one. Like, man, I hope he goes to Discmania just because I think it'd be cool to see Isaac Robinson, you know, with all the other guys, and also like get some Isaac Robinson discs. Personally, like selfishly, I think that's really cool. But I think Isaac Robinson is almost better off going to a brand where he can be the number one guy and he can be the complete face of that brand. You know,
Yeah. Isn't he the 2-time world champ? Wouldn't he be the number one guy?
no, Gannon Bird, dog.
Two-time.
Oh,
Back to back.
that's a tough one because like
Man, if Innova can't win a championship, just sign him. Just sign him.
yeah, so that's where I'm at though. Is I think Innova is smart to sign him, and I think
I think
like an Innova.
complements Heimberg so much.
Yeah.
Where you have two top guys. Which if you're gonna be a top company, you're gonna need two top guys.
Yep.
You can give them everything you want. Isaac Robinson rocks. Isaac
Yes.
it works so well. I
All
think
of
his
this.
bat, yeah, everything with that. I like the Innova a little more than the Discmania, but I would also be happy. I'm looking at my wall. I have Isaac, Alden, Gannon, Ezra, and Gavin, where I think that'd be pretty cool to have them all back together.
Yeah, I think so too. He seems like such a tailor-made Innova guy to me, and like I just like it's just right there. So
yeah, dude, I've been like, please.
yeah. All right, we're gonna move right along into the Washington State Championship review. This was down at Fort Stelicum. This was 3 rounds over 2 days. For the pros, we played first round at Rhododendron, and then we played rounds at Northwest to finish it on Saturday, and then round of Northwest on Sunday morning. The weather held up like pretty well. I definitely went down there every day expecting it to be like cold and rainy, and for the most part, like it was actually like relatively clear skies. Round one of Saturday was like very windy, not very windy, but pretty windy. Especially for like Rhododendron when you're kind of out there, kind of more exposed and like open to the elements like that. It definitely made some holes and some shots like pretty tricky. Rounds 1 and 2 were filmed by your boy Justin Banks here, but I don't know, homie didn't make it out for round 3.
Round 3 was I had the worst Sunday, basically. Slept through 2 alarms, woke up at 10 a.m., an hour or so into the round, and I look at the live scoring from my bed, and I'm like, they're already 6 holes through. I mean, it takes me an hour to get there. I'd show up for the last putt, you know, and I was like, God, I was so down on myself.
When you had like I'm not trying to beat you up at all. It's honestly like not a big deal. It's one of those things where like that was a weekend where you were just kind of doing that. You weren't getting paid to do it. You're just going out there and kind of doing it yourself.
Yeah, there were some silver linings to that.
No big deal. But we did. We had a good laugh when I got your message, and I was like, "Yo, Banks just said he woke up," and like Lil Mateo and Asher like look at me and start cracking up, and I was just like, like oops, like whatever.
Life happens, man. I've been unemployed for 5 months, so my sleep schedule is very messed up.
Dude, it was queer. But yeah, no, I'm still excited to see the coverage for round 1 and round 2. I was on lead card for round 2, so my round at Northwest is filmed. It wasn't the best round I've ever had out there, but it was fine. I mean, a couple of bad tree kicks, a couple of bad putts kind of deal. So, yeah, the young talent in Washington was definitely on display this weekend. Dallas Garber, Colin Bryant, Asher Weideman, all these guys were out. Carter was out there. Lil Mateo was out there, yeah, for sure. So a bunch of kids, really interesting. Round 2.
Young athletes
for sure. Round 2 on our card, we didn't have anybody that was in their 20s.
Whoa.
We had two people that were in their teens, and then Jeremy Marsh and I that were both in our 30s. So it was kind of an interesting, like, I wonder how often, that's probably pretty rare, for a lot of disc golf tournaments. I feel like that mid-20s is like a pretty big demographic for that. So I did have a really weird call during round 3 that I'd kind of like your guys' opinion on, and just kind of
Sure.
like, I don't want to dive too far into this, but and I'm not calling anybody out. I don't want to even say who it was, but basically the disc is in C1. C1 is just on the backside of the disc. The argument, or I guess like C1, the disc is like through C1 like this, right? The argument is that, hey, if I use the back of my sheet of paper, like now hang on. The disc was fully in circle 1, right? So disc, circle 1, right? No, completely
Like that?
in circle 1, like 100%. Yeah.
Use a disc. Use a disc.
So disc, basket's down here. Circle is like right here, right? Edge of circle's right.
Yeah.
So he was like, hey, if I go to the back of my sheet of paper, I'm in circle 2. Can I jump putt this? And I was like,
I think that's where your lie is. No?
Well, that's why I was like, I don't think so, man. I was like, your disc is like fully in C1.
Yeah, I would need to look at the rules, but I would be like, I'm not sure about giving that one, man.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm pretty sure it's where your lie's at.
And we're split on the card, which is fine. So he was, and I kind of like, I wasn't trying to be a dick, but I was like, hey man, do you really need to jump putt from 33 feet?
That's what?
Like, I wasn't trying to be like an asshole, but I was like, hey, man, like, come on, dude, and he was just like, I'd be more comfortable. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. And I kind of just like walked away, and he didn't jump putt, and he missed it. And then he made the comeback. He still got par, maybe bogey. I don't know. Like, it wasn't, I
need to look at the rules,
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I think the circle 1 should be extended now with everybody's skills have been upgraded.
I'm on that one.
But I don't know what that should be, but yeah, I think it should be a little bit more.
I like
40
that.
feet.
I like the idea that you can't step into circle 1. Like, if you want to jump putt from like 35 feet, like, that's cool, but you can't jump putt, like, your front foot can't step into like inside of 33 feet. You know what I mean?
What about your next foot when you're hitting your Ricky Raptor legs because it's in?
See, that's where my thoughts. I haven't fully fleshed that out. I don't know.
It's like, what if you just it's in, you just start running to it, and you're like, wait,
yeah, both fall. You're like, what did I do? I don't know. Yeah, maybe
because that's the only time like someone's just hyped up or something.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't call that. But no, I think it's interesting because you watch the Pro Tour events, and I always think to extend it out, but then I see struggles within the circle, like from every tournament, basically. Like, a couple players will struggle for putting in the circle, where it's like, like, I don't know. I don't know. I try not to jump putt from within 35 feet
that
ever.
Close. I was just like,
yeah. I'm like, if I have to ask, I usually just won't ask, and I'll try to just
go.
Yeah, I'll just.
The only time I say like circle 2, right, is if I'm like 38, or like 36, and I'm like, hey, I'm like just outside. I'm outside enough where I kind of just want to do like a little stepper, or like maybe I'm on a knee and I want to like fall forward, like in front of my lie kind of thing. Like, I just want to be like, hey, like, I am outside of the circle and I am gonna fall forward through this putt kind of thing.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll say that to one person at least, just so they know, or be like, hey, can I get like a thumbs up on this? Like just like a quick thing. And then because if I ask anymore, I feel like I'm changing the flow of everything, where I don't want to do that. That's interesting though. That's gonna make me do some research about looking at, is it where your foot is, or is like your point of contact with foot or your lie? But in my head, it's the lie.
Also, if you use your mini, your lie is different.
A little forward. Yeah. Mark is this. We did that like intentionally so we could get into C2. Like, and that was like a thought, because I do that too sometimes if I'm like close to a tree. I won't mark my lie so I can get that extra 6 inches back, where I can maybe have a little more of like a swing in the arm or something like that.
Exactly.
That is something that you kind of play into. So
if his disc was at all, like if the back of his lie was outside of circle 1, I would let him jump.
I think the conversation.
Yeah. Hey, if you're fully in and you take the sheet of paper and you're outside of circle, then I don't call that. But if your disc's like partially that in the back of your lie, like where you're putting from, is out, like if you were to put your mini down, it would be in circle, and if you were to do it, that's the time I think about that.
Yeah. No,
But yeah,
the first
interesting
scenario was
call.
the one that it was where he was using the back of the sheet of paper, to
Yeah.
get into the circle, into outside of the circle, and I was like, I don't think so, man. And that's kind of one of the other issues with disc golf is because we are like self officiated like that now. Like I have to be like, hey man, like no way, dude, and like now we all have to kind of like stop what we're doing, have this conversation, and if it doesn't go somebody's way, like
Yeah,
you get really upset.
it gets to a slippery slope too because when people start taking these um, privileges of their lie, you'll see them also doing that. Marking their lie and slightly outside of where they have to straddle or something. And I've kind of I don't play a lot of tournament stuff, but I mostly casual, so I don't even mark my lie most of the time. But I've kind of developed a longer throw putt, a threat. We saw that with Ezra this weekend.
You're a threat.
Oh my gosh. He made so many good long anyways.
Yeah.
I like highlights versus small step putts. That's all I'm saying.
For sure. There's a couple other little things I had, and I'm not trying to like call out the tournament or kind of like talk crap about it, but I did have a couple of players like come up to me and kind of bring up some stuff. I think, people are kind of starting to take notice of the show and stuff like that, and they know that I'm kind of out here kind of talking about stuff and that kind of deal. So, I had a couple of people bring up they didn't think that the payouts for MPO were super good. I thought they were okay. I wasn't like wowed by them, but I didn't necessarily think that they were like super low or anything like that. Something that was like a really common theme is people don't want to go to a players meeting and they just really find it really, really unnecessary. And that's just like such a common thing. And I agree with that too. I don't want to go to a players meeting. Like I personally like whatever's in the players meeting, you can shoot me in an email. Like I feel pretty good about that. The other thing
I think that's a requirement, isn't it?
What's that?
Isn't that one of the requirements to do the email because of the varying? I don't know. I started looking at the TD stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we always just send an email, and that seemed to be good. And people come up to the tent when they check in, and they ask questions. We just have a list that we check people off, kind of deal. But also the other thing that a lot of people are saying is not giving us our starting holes until like right before the event's about to start. A lot of people are really upset about that. Me personally too. I'm like, dude, I want to know like what hole I'm starting on, and I want to know like the people I'm playing with like the day before the event, or like the day, like the Thursday before. So like to not tell us until like 8:40, Saturday morning when we tee off at like 9:00. Like Banks, when you posted at Fairway Media that you had that for lead card for feature card, like that was the first time I was like, all right, like do people know who they're playing with? Because like at that point, like nobody knew.
Yeah, I was kind of late to the first tee. It was hole 8, all the way in the back, but that's it is fine. It's definitely up to the tournament director's decision to put whoever is there. I kind of blamed myself because I didn't go check in to see. So if they're doing that late, that I can definitely see how that can be a room for improvement.
Yeah, it's just something. Again, these are all just like common things that was kind of brought up to me or kind of just talking. Yeah. Again. And I'm really not trying to like shit on anybody in any way, shape, or form. This is just this is what was going on with the tournament kind of deal. So the other thing that was kind of brought up is at the end there was like a throw off like for the ace pot, like a CTP kind of thing. And really? Which is like fine, it was for the ace pot, which is like, yeah, that's a good way to kind of like empty out the ace pot like for the event. But the deal was that it was the first person to ace just like in the thing's over. And it was just like, well, I don't know. I think you let everybody else throw, and if somebody else aces, they split it, right? Like it's either that or CTP kind of deal. But like there's like 140 people. Like if everybody should have a chance to throw and like the third person hits it, like kind of sucks for everybody else in mind. You know what I mean? So
sure. I could see that.
Yeah. And then I have a question for you guys. Because I know how I personally feel about this, but how do you guys feel about like second and third place trophies?
I don't think I think it's a nice little touch, but I don't think it's the most needed thing.
This is my favorite third place trophy ever.
I have a second place trophy.
That's 2019 winter at the Bud, intermediate third.
Nice.
Farmers Park Open, second
yeah.
place. I don't know. I don't think it doesn't mean that much to me, but I think it's like a nice little touch if you're gonna if payouts like necessarily aren't the best or something like that. I remember the script wasn't great, but I remember I had a good players pack and I thought the trophies were a good touch. I just don't. I don't think they're that. Like I don't think they're that needed at all, or at least for like I think. Yeah, I don't think they're that needed.
I think if I podiumed a lot, I would care, but I kind of don't. I'm not really a trophy guy.
Yeah.
I just feel like I still am like I'm not like even like I don't know everything. The only time I'm like truly happy after the end of a tournament is the times I've won. I feel like
Yeah.
and so like or like I've had 1,000 rate around or like those are the only times I feel like I've been like really happy after a round. Like I definitely am chilling and happy and have okay rounds and good rounds, but like I don't think even a second place or third place is like that celebrated. And I think they would only be necessary for like MPO. And I think once you get to MPO, those guys kind of like I don't know. It's kind of a piss off getting a third place trophy.
Dude,
it's like a reminder. It's like it's like it's like if it's a tournament you could have won basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
I personally am not a fan of second and third place trophies. I've always said that if you're considered,
you're a winner, bro,
I want to win. And like I've always said, like, hey, also if I want to win, that means I want to make the most money. So take that money that you're going to spend on trophies and just put it into the pot. Like I've always been more of a fan of that personally. Unless the trophy is for like a really giant event, like the PAC-X Cup, like Washington State's like should have like a big trophy for it. Like that stuff I totally agree with, you know, and I do think that's good. But I'm not a fan of like the second and third place trophy. Like I tied for third and Lil Mateo was like, yeah, we're going to go do a playoff. And I was like, for what? And he was like, for the trophy. And I was like, nah, I'm good, bro. You go ahead. I'm like, cause it's just like, I'm done, you know, for the weekend. Like I finished 18. Like I'm already thinking about getting to the car and like having a beer with my homies and kind of getting out. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about the rest of my day and I'm like, oh dude, it's noon. I can take a nap and still have dinner tonight. Like that's all, you know, and I'm like already out of there. Like I don't want to go to a playoff for like a trophy, you know, for a third place trophy. Like it just shows that like, hey, I didn't win this event, you know, kind of thing. So if it for first place or if it's for a difference in pay, yeah, I'm all about it. Like, let's go, you know, because again, like, I want to win the biggest prize and I want to make as much money as I can while I'm doing this kind of deal. And for first place too, like, yes, I want the definitive win. Like, I don't want to have a tie here, you know, for first, like that's ridiculous. But like for a third place trophy or second place trophy, that's just been one of those things where I've never fully been on board for it. So interesting to hear that you guys have a pretty similar take, and I'd like to hear actually, like, you know, go ahead in the comment section below and like comment like how you guys feel about second and third place trophies, because I'm curious, like all levels of division, you know, like an MA3 guy or like an MA2 guy who maybe isn't podium a lot or getting a lot of trophies or winning a lot, like does getting a third place trophy, you know, in those events, like is that like a special thing for you, or is that one of those things where you're like, oh great, and then you kind of lose track of it after like a couple of, you know what I mean? Like it just goes in like a room on a shelf and you never see it again kind of deal. Cause like I have a bag of trophies down here. I have a bunch of trophies kind of up there, just like stuff. Like I'm not trying to brag, but like I've won a bunch of events and like when I get a trophy, I'm always like, okay, cool. Like this is great. You know, thank you. But also like, I think
there's a progression that I think I definitely understand your viewpoint there. You're like, all right, I'm down. I just want all the wins now. Let's go.
And you know, and I wanna win enough money where I can call my wife and be like, hey, we're going to a nice dinner tonight. Let's do it. You know, like, and that's always that's like a very rewarding thing for me is to like call my wife on the way home, being like, hey, like next week, like pick out a restaurant, like, you know, I won, let's go, kind of thing. So. So we're going to go through the winners of the Washington State Championships real quick. The official name of this tournament was the second annual 49th annual Doug Newland Memorial Washington State Championship sponsored by Latitude 64. Yep, long name. All right, so winners for MPO was Dallas Garber. He barely squeaked out the win over Colin Bryant. Lo Mateo, myself, and Carter Aarons all tied for third. FPO winner was Allison Mabut. Brandy Cargill and Jennifer Rice came in second and third. MP40 was Kyle Crabtree. FP40 was Lori Burrell.
No, it's Burley.
Burley. Oh, I overcomplicated that.
Yeah, I've been around for like 6 years. I've met all these people.
Dude, you're probably better. You're going to be way better with these names than I would be. Yeah. MP50, no surprise there. Bing bang. Dude's just racking up the wins out here. MP60 was Todd Deschler. MP70 was Steve Simmons. MA1 was Jesse Routley. Shout out Box Squad member Corey Parker for getting the third place finish. FA1 was Hannah Keller. Shout out to my friend Kayla Oridi for getting second place. MA40 was Adam Utley. Big old tie for second place. A bunch of people. MA50 was Gerald Keister. And MA60 was Dave Catalata. Dave Catalata. All right, congratulations to all the Washington State champions. Good for all of you. Yeah, I saw Colin afterwards, and he said he had a pretty good battle with Dallas there at the top, and he's like, man, they just wouldn't let up, kind of thing. So,
And Colin won last year, correct?
yeah, Colin won last year.
Yep.
Yeah, he's amazing, and like he's got such a good head on his shoulders, and his dad Aaron is so nice. I know his dad Aaron listens to this too. I mean, we were talking about like the young talent in Washington, and like I've said this a lot. Like when you watch him play, you're like, oh, like he could do this forever, and he can like it's so smooth and it's so like natural and pure, and he's got such a good support system, and that he's got a good head on his shoulders. Like I think he's gonna be really good for a really long time.
I think he's going to go far with his consistency. It's absolutely impeccable.
Yeah, I've gotten to meet him and know him, and it's been really cool. Like talking to him about baseball, talking about this, just he's a passionate kid.
Yeah,
all these kids are.
Yeah.
All
right, so we're gonna kind of move right along. We're gonna get into this is something that I thought was kind of silly, but it's gonna be fun. We're in the off season. We're gonna get into some weird stuff here and there. So I told Ollie last week to go out and watch the movie The Terminal. It has Tom Hanks. I think is that Catherine Zeta-Jones? Is that who is like the female lead?
I'll look it up.
Thanks. But yeah, it's a movie that came out in like 2004. Tom Hanks.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, yep. There it is. Yeah, so Tom Hanks basically like lived in like a airport for like in the movie he was in the airport for like 9 months or something like that. So my wife and I were watching this, and we kind of got into like the real story of the person because that is based on a true story, and the real story is like incredible. So I kind of wanted to like tell Ollie a little bit about the real story because I know he doesn't know too much about this. And so Ollie, you watched like most of the movie this week, you said?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. So, in the movie, like I said, I think he was in the airport for like 9 months or something like that. The real guy, his name is Mehran Karimi Nasiri, but they called him Sir Alfred Mehran because he wanted to be called Sir Alfred Mehran. He was actually an Iranian refugee. He lived in the department lounge of Terminal 1 of the airport in Paris. So it wasn't the New York airport, it was a Paris airport that he lived in. He actually, do I have it in here? I'm just going to read through this thing that I wrote because I kind of summarized like an article that I read, and I watched like some YouTube stuff on it. So he became somewhat of a celebrity when he wrote an autobiography in 2004, the same year that this movie came out. So he wrote an autobiography, and Steven Spielberg bought the rights to the autobiography and then turned it into a movie from there. He was originally expelled from Iran for anti-state protests, and he went to school in the United Kingdom. He was awarded refugee status in European countries after he was tortured by the Iran intelligence agency. He claims that he lost his briefcase containing his passport and papers, and that it was stolen. Like he lost it and that it was stolen is what he claims. Like I said, he wanted to call himself Sir Alfred once he started living in the terminal. So basically, he was traveling around and lost his briefcase with his passport and all that, and just kind of got stuck like in the terminal. And this all started happening in true story says that he landed in London without a passport, and then they sent him back to Paris, and he was detained there in 1988. So the movie rights were bought while he was still living in the airport. So he was detained in 1988, and in 2004, when he wrote his autobiography, he was still living in the airport. He was in there for over 22 years.
Crazy.
Airport?
He lived in the airport for 22 years, dude.
Terminal 1.
Isn't that crazy?
That's a little insane.
I think what's the craziest part about this is that the movie rights were bought while he was still living in the airport. He didn't leave the airport until 2006. So there was a movie that was a giant blockbuster movie with Tom Hanks and Catherine Zeta-Jones, directed by Steven Spielberg, and this guy was still living in an airport for 2 years after this, and it was based on him. Like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, he got a bunch of money, and then he actually returned to living in the airport.
Yeah, after he got out, he lived in like homeless shelters and stuff like that.
It's like people who are institutionalized in jail who want to go back to jail. It's like what they're familiar. It's like his home. He lived there
22 years.
So long.
Dude, that's so bad. And apparently, like his fast food consumption, like what he does in the movie where he eats like Burger King all the time. Apparently, that was like pretty accurate, but it was McDonald's filet of fish. Like, he would eat, like, McDonald's filet-of-fish sandwiches, like, every day.
Every day.
Dude, kind of sad. He died at the age 76 in the airport.
A heart attack.
In the airport. Hey, went out where he loved.
Dude, isn't that wild, though?
That's one of the most craziest stories ever.
And now I got a couple hours of YouTube videos to watch.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. We were sitting on the couch, and she was just kind of, like, telling me about, like, she started looking into it, and she's, like, reading this to me, and I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, that's so incredibly sad. And she's like, yeah, this is like the real story, though. I was like, oh my God. 22 years. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know what to like. It doesn't even sound real. Like I like a little bit just don't believe it. But that's crazy.
It's absolutely wild. All right, Holly, do you want to get into the fantasy football check-in?
Sure do. So we got another.
I can't believe I freaking lost.
Kirby lost. Let's start with that. Well, let's start with that. Kirby lost.
I thought I had him. I really did. The whole week I was like peacocking, and I was like, yo, I got him.
Who'd you, let's go over the matchups real quick. So we had, this week, Vanilla Vic and crew, aka myself, go against At Least I'm Not Last, and I am in last. Team Lucky Lukey, who is, because he beat you, and he had, shout out to Luke, he had a 100% correct rate against you, so next time
I was destroying him like yesterday morning. I was like, I can't believe, like I signed on today. I think the first thing I said to you was like, oh, I beat Luke this week. And then I looked at it and I was like, wait, I lost?
Yeah, that's it's pretty cool seeing that.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you only had an 81% rate. You got to get your rates up. Where did I had a 95% rate. I'm just terrible. So it doesn't, like, it's easy. See, you got to have the percentages up.
This sucks. Get my ass kicked.
All right, and then we had Team Gabe Zansberg took the loss against On Top of the World, who move into 5-1-1 at the top of our league. Team CL 2543 takes his first loss, moving to 5-1-1, and versus the Team Slop Jockeys, 2 tight ends, 1 cup, with another win against the OK Fantasy Football Show. And that's going to wrap that part up, the matchups, and then we had a couple more things. Like I said, Luke scoring with 100% rate. It was the most efficient manager versus least efficient manager in that matchup. Biggest blowout was the Gardenos versus Gabe Zansberg. The narrowest victory was the Slop Jockeys versus CL 25-4-2-3. That's about it. I'm 1-5 right now. I gotta see who I'm playing against right now. I'm feeling pretty terrible.
I feel
now I gotta go against the number 1 team.
Like, what happened?
Number 1 team. I tried.
Yeah, I don't know.
I tried to do something a little different than my other leagues because I was like, oh, this should be fun. Nah, that was the worst idea ever. Now I gotta go against the number 1 team in the league, and my team is all hurt, all out.
Oh no.
I'm going to get Slop Jockeys this week. I feel like I'm going to get smoked.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough week for the KO Disc Golf Show. I think it's okay that we didn't show up necessarily. You know, it'd look bad if we just put, you know, hey, come in, win these prizes, and then we just won them ourselves. You know, so
That was
my angle is gonna be, you know, I'm just I'm a facilitator. I'm here to add to the pot. You know, I want to see a true winner, a true
Yeah.
champion. You know, that's
we're here to create a community, right? It's the community we're creating.
I'm gonna hope for a few. I want to win some more games though. That's the goal.
Yeah. Did not lose so much. That'd be cool.
That's the goal.
All right. So we're gonna get right into the draft this week. This draft was suggested by our boy Banks himself. It was a really good idea. He suggested the games draft. So we're gonna be drafting just like any game. Games can include video games, board games, like field games, like sports, like Olympic games, like literally like PC games, anything that you want to consider a game, card game, whatever. It's all a game. I would even consider like any casino game, like literally anything that you want to make a game out of. If it's a game that you and your brother or something like that made up when you were kids, count it. I don't care what it's called, you know, like I'm down, like whatever, right? Should be a pretty diverse list. Ollie, I won the picks from last week. I won like 4-1.
Start it
I'm
off.
gonna take the first pick. Ollie, I'm gonna give you the second pick, and then Banks, you're gonna get the wraparound.
Yep.
So for the games pick, for my number one pick for games, I think it has to be the number one overall pick, especially if it's the thing that brought all of us together. I'm picking disc golf.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I think as far as practicality, it's the most practical. Look, what are we doing here? You know, what do we do? What did we just spend 46 minutes talking about? Check me on the time. It was 46 minutes. That's right. All right, Ollie, you got number two. What are you picking?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ideas I have. I feel like with the first pick, we're gonna go with something a little different than what I was gonna go do originally, but we're gonna go with capture the flag.
Okay.
Goated recess
Wow.
game. I would still love to play a good old game of capture the flag.
Yeah.
I think it's just when you were a kid playing capture the flag, I think it was the most fun, most intense, most competitive.
Yep.
You know, you had the it was
Now you
fun.
go
I enjoyed
hard.
it.
Yeah, dude, you're going back to class all sweaty. You got that one kid that just like slaps his mouth on the fountain and just like sucks it dry. That's right. Yeah.
And then you got to walk by, leave some for the fishes.
Yeah.
That was me. I was always just like, and I went every single time, leave some for the fishes. My teacher would come out and say that, and I'd be like, bro, what?
That's awesome.
I love that. All right, back to three.
So I'm going in a similar nostalgia category. Flyers Up.
Oh,
Flyers up.
It's
no,
kind of
that's
a
actually goated. That's actually a
backyard
great pull. Great pull.
backyard game. One person is up. You throw a ball or a football. Some of my friends would call it 100 or 1,000. They would say a point value. Whoever caught it got that point. Or if they ever got it,
Yeah.
they just switch spots.
Yeah.
Flyers
I
up.
play the switch up. I play the switch spots, and you're just going up there. Just sometimes I had no intention of catching that ball. I'm coming in there for contact.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
letting you know that.
No, that was like the dad or the uncle that just had like 8 of us cousins, and he'd be like,
Yes.
all right, 10, right? Pass it back.
Yes.
50, and like, yeah, that game was sick, dude. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number one for me.
Throwing elbows, yeah. All right, what do you got for the number 4 pick?
Number 4, I gotta start going into video games because I started very young. I was born in '82, so I was around Atari, OG Nintendo. My first love was Super Mario Brothers 2.
Cool.
Great game.
Yeah.
Great game. Great game.
Love it.
So yeah, I'm writing these down for us.
Was there a system that you used that for mostly?
What do you mean?
Like, what system was that on?
Oh, original Nintendo.
Nice, yeah.
I still have it, by the way.
Hell yeah. The same Nintendo?
Yep.
Dude, that's sick. I love that. Ollie, what do you got for number 5?
All right, we're gonna go. There's so many games that I just love, but I think I've kind of narrowed this down to 3, and I'm not too worried about. There's so many games where I'm not too worried about anyone stealing picks or anything like that.
Sure.
But we're gonna go with Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Maybe
that
the
was on my
greatest
list.
game of all time. Give me it. one I played the Master's Quest version on the GameCube, but I think just that game in general is just the
Same
goat
game,
game. Yeah. I think it got me so it's like
Yeah.
it's just Majora's Mask without a time limit, and it's just like such a fun game, and I enjoy that game and have so many memories being confused, like figuring out where to go, being like it was just a game I fell in love with and made me love gaming even to where I'm at today.
Like memorizing all that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, yep.
What system did you play that on?
I played on GameCube and N64.
Wow. All right, cool. Dude, nobody ever really played the GameCube. I feel
The
like
GameCube is my favorite console maybe
dude,
ever.
I had like a cousin that had it, and that was like the only person I knew back in the day.
There's like a certain I don't know, there was like a late 90s like there was a big I don't know, all the kids I feel like a bunch of people my age were just big GameCube babies or like loved the GameCube.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just me because my older brother, but
No,
I love the GameCube.
like I said, I had to like there like I knew like my cousin was like huge on it, but other than that, like I just felt like that was like I was always a PlayStation kid. I had PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, like I still have like I don't know, a couple of different PlayStations kind of around the corner there. So but for the number 6 and the number 7 pick, because I was having a tough time kind of deciding which one of these two that I wanted more, so I'm glad I get to get them back to back. For the number 6 pick, just because it came first, I'm picking Pokemon Red version.
Oh, snap.
And then for the number 7 pick, I'm picking Pokemon Soul Silver. Soul Silver and Heart Gold are kind of like the definitive, like, you know, best games like in the Pokemon franchise. Pokemon Red is kind of where it all started for me. I remember it was like the day after my birthday, or like I think it might have been the day before my birthday. It wasn't on my birthday, that my dad was like, all right, come on, we got to go to the store and get like a carpet or something. And I was like, all right. And like we went to Walmart and he got me Game Boy Color and Pokemon Red for my birthday. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Dude, I still have that Pokemon Red cartridge. I still play Pokemon like Red and Blue, and I still play all the Pokemon games and even the current Pokemon games. Like that's been a 20-year thing for me. So I'm pumped to get both of those back to back. Ollie, what you got for number 8?
I just wanted to
Oh, sick, dude. Heck yeah. Silver. Ooh. My man's iced out.
I got some Latios or
Come
Latias.
on!
Heck yeah.
Money spread.
Bro. I know, Banks, do those look familiar?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
I'm very weird with Pokemon. I just got into it at 42, and I've never played any Pokemon game at all. Just the TCG.
Oh, I'm gonna need you to hold you. I need to hold you all up after the show and grab some cards for you to show. But for my pick, we're gonna go with one of my most played games of all time. Wrapping us back into the draft.
Please.
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas. Played it on the Xbox 360. I have beat the game like 9. I have like 9 different playthroughs of that game, doing different things. One of the playthroughs has like 2,000 hours on it. I absolutely adore that game. Like it's my favorite game probably ever.
Nice.
Sick.
And there's other Fallouts. I like 3 as well, but New Vegas, there was just so much creativity. They had such a good story, but in Fallout 3, it was like a story you followed. Basically, you can make decisions, but in Fallout New Vegas, it was all your decisions, and all your decisions kind of made the ending, and you could kind of decide those kind of things, which I thought was so cool.
I heard about that game. I never got into it, but that's so cool that you have that much memories with that. That's sick.
Yeah, I've never played, but I've talked about it so much. And I mean,
is that the one with the Pip Boy something?
Boy.
My brother was all into this. I know about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Little peek behind the curtain for the people here. Ollie and I share the KO Disc Golf Show YouTube account, and I'll go in there some days, and there'll be like the watch history, and it'll be like a 12-hour video of like Overwatch. He's like 7 hours in, and I'm like, bro, it's yeah. I
love gaming. It's definitely it keeps me going.
Yeah.
That's sick.
All right, Banks, what you got for number 9?
Do I have only 2 more picks?
Yep, you got 9 and 10. You got the wraparound here.
So right now I'm picking my last 2 of the draft. So I got to touch on PC gaming. My first PC game that I really loved was Duke Nukem 3D.
Oh, great.
Oh, dude, sick. Yeah.
Yeah. if you don't know, you gotta know.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
my most modern love, it was a toss-up between two, but I'll pick Call of Duty Warzone.
Okay.
I mean, it's been huge since 2019 for me, and I touched on it, I don't know, probably 10 years before that, with it for like 2 years, and then I took a break. I played a lot of Madden, but I had to take a break for self-control reasons. So.
Nice.
Love that.
Ollie, what you got for number 11?
All right, and my final pick to wrap up my draft, I'm gonna go with. I also like shooters as well. You thought I was gonna go League of Legends. While I like to play that game, it's not my all-time favorite, and I'm going with Team Fortress 2. Kind of the hero shooter that lives. It's like been going for so long, and it's just so sick. It's inspired Overwatch. It's inspired so many other games that I loved and played. And it's still like the servers are on and alive still today. Where it's like it's the one shooter that's like kind of survived everything in my opinion. Where it's the GOAT. Yeah, Team Fortress 2.
Cool.
And I play that on PC and Xbox.
I've never played that either.
This list of games is epic. This is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so for the last pick of the draft, I'm actually really excited to get into everybody's like whatever's left over on everybody's list because I think that I got a couple of ones that I think are pretty fun here. But for the number 12 pick for my draft, I'm gonna pick a board game. We don't have one of those. I'm gonna pick the Settlers of Catan.
Good choice.
This is a game I learned how to play in college with my roommate. Like we'd have a couple other people over. We'd all have some beers, sit around and play. Settlers of Catan. We'd play Monopoly. That's another one that's on my list. Monopoly is like also one of my favorite games. But yeah, I still play Catan on my phone. It's just a super complex game. If you played it, there's all kinds of expansions and stuff that's really fun. So so to recap real quick before we get into all of our backup lists here. I picked Disc Golf, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Soul Silver, and Settlers of Catan. I got my top 4 picks, and that feels pretty cool.
I did too.
Ollie has Capture the Flag, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Fallout New Vegas, and Team Fortress 2.
Goated.
Justin Banks has Flyers Up, Super Mario Brothers 2, Duke Nukem 3D, and Call of Duty Warzone. So pretty good. It's a pretty diverse list of stuff, I think. I like it.
After Capture the Flag, I was like, I gotta go gaming. I'm not doing any others. I wanted to do Sequence. I really like the board game Sequence. Y'all played that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, is that where you guess the colors?
Everyone gets a color, and you have to like make lines of colors and stuff. I enjoy Sequence a lot. I have a lot of memories playing that as a kid.
My older sister had all those types of games that were smart thinking. Yep. Man, we had so many games of Uno, Cribbage, Risk, Life.
Risk is big on my list. Chess is big on my list.
Yeah. My mom got pissed. My brother and I had a Risk game that lasted over a whole weekend. We could use the kitchen table.
I love that.
Couple of honorable mentions. One of my favorite games that I never see anybody else really playing is called Monopoly Deal. My wife and I it's a card game, just like a kind of a fat deck of cards. We'll bring this to like the bars and we'll go and like have some drinks and hang out at bars and play this game. But basically you're playing like a game of Monopoly, but via card game, and the game only takes like 10 minutes or so. But
interesting.
It's pretty complex. Like there's a bunch of different strategies. I mean, it's simple, but as you get into the strategies, you can kind of start to play complex strategies and stuff. But it's a very, very fun game. It's one that if you see it in the store, Monopoly Deal is definitely worth. Like it's a cool game. 2 people, 3 people, 4 people kind of deal. I also had baseball, and I had this one's pure nostalgia, but WWF Here Comes the Pain.
That's awesome.
Game of all time. Actually, just
Worms.
recently bought that for me, and like I'm loving on it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. What would you guys have left over on your lists?
I went through a few of mine. Also, like the sports, football, basketball, like 2v3's basketball with friends is always fun. Worms MD or Worms, the video game is really cool. It's like you have like it's a fun one. It's kind of like a tanks game or something like that, but it's a
turn-based one-shot. Rotate.
Yeah, Banks knows.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
I've got a lot of weird games in my history. There's no I'm not like only all sports games, but I did love sports. I was lucky enough to go to a middle school that had a ping pong table, so I convinced my parents to
Yo,
get a ping pong table.
ping pong.
Ping pong.
Nobody
Yeah, me
said
and my stepdad. Huh?
dodgeball.
Oh
Dodgeball.
yeah. Oh my
Handball
gosh.
too. I don't know. I don't really know like the real game of handball, but the handball that I played in high school was like the best, where you couldn't shoot within like the 3-point line and that kind of thing. Like
Never
Wall
done that.
ball.
That's cool.
Wall
wall ball, is
ball.
that what that is?
Oh,
No,
wall
I'm
ball.
saying wall ball, where you're just chucking a wall, or like those recess game where you're like,
yeah.
yeah.
Dude,
Uh,
honestly, I don't know if this counts as a game, but just like catch, just
yeah.
playing catch with somebody, like dude,
Hours and hours.
throwing a ball back and forth, football, baseball,
4 hours.
dude,
Yes.
love that. Yeah.
I had too many broken bones. My mom wouldn't let me play football, but I would have been a good quarterback. I played second base in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I loved what else did I on my list here? Oh, I loved Tetris. I had Zelda, Battletoads, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of my old NES games.
Oh yeah, dude. Turtles and was that the Turtles in Time?
I think that was after that.
Was it?
This
There
one was super hard. Like there was no saves, and
Yeah.
you would have to
I had the
reset all the
Xbox game
time.
for the SNES, and I remember playing the first and the second level just like nonstop, and I knew them like the back of my hand because I could
Yeah.
like it would take you so long to get through those, and by that time I was a kid. I was like, I got other stuff to do.
That pattern recognition kicking in real young.
Yeah. So, all right, Ollie, you want to wrap us up, bud?
Yes, sir. It's been a great episode, episode 29. Every single week, it's always like, I can't believe the number that we're at. Next episode's going to be 30 episodes, 30 weeks of doing the KO Disc Golf Show. Something that's, just incredibly cool. And, I've been enjoying this time so much. Quote to end, the ocean is so salty because everyone goes pee in it. Goku, Dragon Ball Z. Aim high, shoot low. Thanks, Justin, for coming on the show and everything. Peace out, y'all.